In this video I will talk about the Zcam's eND module. Here we are again, and this video is not sponsored. So if you're new to this channel, I test out Zcam stuff with my E2F6, and if you're interested in this, make sure to subscribe. This time I will show you how you insert the electronic ND module into the mount and, of course, the pros and cons during the time.
Okay, let's take a closer look. The electronic ND costs about 500 euros and it is very solid and light. It has on the left side the electronic connection and you can use it with the EF and PL mount so far. First, take out the screws of the protector glass and then plug it off. Then take the ND with the white arrow upside and insert it very carefully. It is not so smooth to insert. Better take your time and find the right horizontal angle to insert. And don't force it or do it on a rush on set. You could damage the electronic connection. Once you start the camera, you have the ability to change stops between 1.7 up to 6.7. It is possible to use the custom buttons as a shortcut and you can easily access like you know from ISO or aperture. And of course you are able to control the ND with your Zcam app, the Ninja 5 or other external remotes. Now you're able to shoot with open aperture outdoors. Let's talk about the pros and cons. First, there is no white balance shift. You don't have to make any corrections in white balance and tint. And you are able to shoot with an aperture of 2.8 in bright sunlight at 25 frames per second and 1.8 in 50 frames per second slow motion. If you want shots with an aperture of 1.4 or less, you need 120 frames per second, or you have to get back to ND faders at less frames per second. The ND starts with 1.7 stops, so that means for lower light situations it could be too dark, even on second native ISO. This could be a hassle to remove the eND on set to get better low light shots. If there is no time on set to remove it and you deeply want that shot, then you can push the ISO up to 20,000 to have still very clear footage. A good thing is that you're able to use additional Polaroid front filters. There are no weird reflections or color shifts while using it. There's one weird thing I noticed during the time. The eND comes with two modes. ND 101 and ND 102. 101 I showed you already. And ND 102 is a kind of beta test mode for future functions. As you can see, it looks a bit warmer. And after 4 stops, it doesn't get darker. So if you insert your new eND and you have this color shift, it doesn't mean it's something wrong with your eND. It's just set into beta mode. So switch to 101 and you're ready to shoot. And a good thing, it works the same on PL mount. That means you can use cinema lenses without front NDs for more compact, for example, car rigs. Or, like in my case, my self-made anamorphic lens with rotating rangefinder.
There is one not so nice thing. especially for indie filmmakers. So the stops are fixed. That means you don't have the same effect like you know from variable eND. And I searched the whole menu and there was no fine and coarse setting or an automatic mode. And I made a test shot with 170 frames per second to see how it actually works. And as you can see in the video, it switches between the stops very fast but very smooth. And this feels more like a software thing and not a hardware limitation. And Zcam, it would be very nice to see a future firmware update with a fine coarse setting or a variable eND feature with this electronic eND module. But to have the opportunity to switch a filter between a lens and sensor is so great and perfectly matches in this Zcam universe where you can just switch a mount instead of getting an adapter. And maybe in future there are more filters, like a Polaroid filter or other filters. So whatever you are planning with the eND module, I hope I could answer all your questions. And if you still have some thoughts, then leave it in the comments, or if you have new questions already, then put them all in the comments. And if you want to know more about the Zcam E2 mounts, then check out my all mount review and make sure to subscribe to get the latest updates. And have a nice day and see you in the next one.